Guys, welcome back to episode number 15 of the Pick and Roll podcast. I'm Campbell.
I am Max.
And welcome back. I know it's been a bit. We've been laying off the episodes a bit. We've both been a bit busy, but we wanted to get them done round by round. To give you guys a bit of an update about our predictions and how they went, and also our predictions for the following rounds. And that's what we're going to be doing today. A bit of a recap, a few games, a bit of fun.
The main thing we're going to be doing this week, though, is talking about each NBA championship contender, the 4 teams remaining, and what a championship would mean for the teams and the players on those teams. So that's going to be the main piece of agenda that we've got today. Obviously, we've only got 2 games to talk about for the next round.
Yeah.
So that section's going to be a little bit shorter. It's going to be jam-packed, but a little bit shorter. So we've got basically that to fill in the rest of the episode. So hope you guys enjoy, and we'll just get straight into it.
Yeah, first let's get into our predictions from last round, which I'm scared for because I know I got a few wrong. I know I got the majority wrong. But I'm still happy.
You did though. Did you?
No, I did. But I'm still happy with what I said and the reasons why I said those things because, you know, I said like, if this happens, then the team will win. And that's what happened.
Yeah, we both did get our descriptions of how the series would go. A lot of them were right. A couple of our predictions were wrong in terms of how the series would play out, especially when it comes to the games played. Actually, no. We did all right for some series in terms of games played, but others not so much. First, we're going to Boston Cavs, which, do you remember?
Yeah, on the money.
On the money for both of us.
On the money.
And it was awesome because we said exactly pretty much what happened. Obviously, you can't predict the injuries in series, but we basically said that the Cavs had the tools to take one game from Boston.
And they did.
And they did. But in the end, it's just overpowering for the Boston Celtics on defense and offense. Yeah, obviously, I said you can't predict injuries, and that was a big factor in that for the Cavs. I think they could have been more competitive, especially in those last 3 games. But Boston is so good at what we spoke about the defensive backcourt that they have, Derek White and Drew Holiday, so good at working out that Garland-Donovan Mitchell pairing and just making adjustments.
And Darius Garland did not have a good series.
No, he didn't.
In the slightest, especially when Donovan Mitchell eventually was out and the Cavs really needed him to step up. He couldn't do that. And, you know, you can say injuries, but we all knew even with a fully healthy team, the Cavs were definitely going to struggle against the Celtics. And the Celtics are the better team. They're still my pick for the championship. And, yeah, it pretty much went the exact same way the Miami series went, like in game order as well. And the Celtics have hit their stride. They've hit some momentum, and I think they'll follow that into the next round.
Mm-hmm. So on Darius Garland, so he did have a 30-point game in there. He had a 30-point, 3 rebounds, 7 assist game, but the rest of the games were definitely below par. Especially as you said, when Donovan was out, he had an 11-point game, 9 assists, fair enough, but just not enough. Just not enough production from a guy that wasn't all-star. I don't know where the Cavs go in terms of the future because they're obviously...
Donovan might want to go.
I think definitely Donovan wants to go. Obviously, I think the Cavs will try and support that for him because obviously we've had that James Harden situation where in Houston he didn't want to be there, got shipped away despite how much the team needed him. So I think it's going to be a similar situation for Donovan Mitchell. He's just not going to put up with staying in Cleveland. You could tell when he was first signed there, traded there, that he didn't really want to be there either. So I feel like it was sort of a short margin where the Cavs were expecting to hopefully contend with Donovan Mitchell, but I think eventually they knew that he wouldn't want to be there and he'd move on. But there are also talks of Darius Garland moving as well.
Where do they think he's going to go?
I don't know exactly. I haven't looked at the trade machines or anything, but I know a lot of people. I think I looked at the trade machine like a week ago, and him when they were losing in the series, and those were the 2 most traded people in the previous week. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there are teams that definitely need him, especially out east, making their teams stronger. even the Atlanta Hawks, even if they want to ship away up. Can we quickly talk about the Spurs maybe as an option? Because I think that would be extremely good. Because he'd be a good pick and roll partner with Victor Wembanyama. And he can score. I think Donovan and him coexisting in a backcourt just didn't work. I think they're both at least as a scorer that Darius Garland could potentially be. I think Donovan Mitchell took most of that load, and that sort of lowered Darius Garland's capabilities sort of on that team. But I think on a team like the Spurs, where he's not going to have a super good backcourt partner, the Spurs need a player that can pass to and get Victor Wembanyama in the right spots, be a pick and roll partner. I think that's a really good option for them, actually. Whether they trade away a draft pick potentially to get him, or I'm not sure, but we've talked about this. We've spoken about the prospect of the Spurs going into that quick rebuild where it's sort of like a 2-3 year thing, and they bring in assets as quickly as possible instead of letting Victor Wembanyama develop and doing it slowly. So I think maybe that's an option. What do you think?
Definitely could be. I don't know. I haven't thought about it that much, about Darius Garland moving. But yeah, definitely a possibility come this off season.
It was a bit of a tangent, wasn't it? But so yeah, we were right about that series, but
I think that was the only one I got right.
Was it? Hang on.
It was.
Okay.
It's the only series I got right.
No.
This guy does not know ball.
Oh, it is. Yeah, true. Knicks Pacers. We both agreed that the Knicks would win 4-2.
And the Pacers won 4-3. But injuries, I feel confident that if, all the players were healthy, that it probably should have been a 4-2 win for the Knicks. And obviously, a lot of fans would have loved to see that because of the New York crowd and how hard they go. And if they made it to playing the Celtics, that would have been a phenomenal series, just in terms of hype and crowd energy. But, the Pacers got it done. And I'm surprised, even with injuries, really, this Pacers team has been able to pull through. And they are a conference finals team. No matter what. No one can take that away from them. They're a conference finals team. And at most points of the season, they're a team that didn't look like that at all.
I think you got to definitely give credit. First of all, they're the best offensive playoff team that we've ever seen in terms of offensive rating. I think it's 121 offensive rating, which is like miles above anyone else ever in the playoffs. And then the defensive rating, they are one of the worst teams in terms of defensive rating in the playoffs. But how they've adjusted to the playoffs and the slow down pace, because obviously they were, I think, the third quickest team in terms of pace in the regular season. But the way that they've adjusted to the playoffs and they've actually been able to defend in the previous 2 rounds, obviously teams haven't been at their full force. Giannis was out, Damian Lillard was out, Jalen Brunson broken hand, OG Anunoby tried to play in that final game, but just wasn't a factor, couldn't. And then Josh Hart as well. And that's all, first of all, I think Thib, that's what he does. That's what he does all the time. But I don't know. I see why in the players poll, did you see the players poll, how he was rated?
Oh yeah, the coach said least likely
wanted to play for. And that's because he literally plays these sorts of players all the minutes. But I think, you definitely need to give the Pacers credit. It wasn't a fluke that they got here, I don't think. I think a healthy Knicks team, I agree with you, they would have taken the series. But I think, the Pacers, their offense was outstanding. And I think they are definitely going to give the Boston Celtics a run for their money in certain games, especially at home, because that Pacers atmosphere, obviously, we don't have a chance to experience these sorts of atmospheres because we're in a different country. But I've heard people talk about the fact that the Pacers atmosphere is one of the best in basketball at the moment. So
Indiana's a big basketball state.
They are. That's what they're known for in terms of American sports. Their passion for basketball. So we did get that wrong, but I think you can argue that we got it right. No, we didn't get it right.
In an alternate universe, we got that right.
Yeah.
It wasn't heinous to say that.
No, not at the time. Definitely not. OKC Mavs. What did you...
I remember I said OKC in 7. I think we both did.
I said OKC in 6. So you got it right in terms of game 7.
Number of games. And again...
Sorry.
No, you got it right in terms of games.
6 games. Sorry. Yeah.
But again, a series where... And the playoffs have been really interesting in this way. And it's maybe want to tune into more games, how games can go one way or the other based off just a few possessions, like we saw the SGA foul on PJ Washington. And I will give PJ Washington his flowers because I did doubt him when we were talking about these matchups last round. And I did say but I will pat myself on the back a little bit. And I will say that, remember I said that if they had a third scorer, then they'd be in a good position to win.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he could do that, but he proved me wrong. And he was a key factor in leading them to the win, even when Luka was playing not so well and with a bit of an injury. So, yeah, they got it done. And I think the matureness and like and that's the word, but
maturity.
Yeah, matureness. The maturity and the playoff experience of the Mavs just shone through a bit more. You know, people were saying like the worst one seed in history, etc. It's not true. But they put up a good fight. It was a good series to watch. I just thought we'd go to 7 and then it could go either way. But yeah, the Mavs proved me wrong.
And you patted yourself on the back. I'm going to quickly pat myself on the back as well. When we spoke 2 weeks ago, I said that the Mavs don't need a solidified third player, a third option. I said that they can get that production from really anyone on that rotation on any given night. And I think that proved right for the most part. I mean, you did have some really good PJ Washington games. But in the last game, Derrick Jones Jr. shot 61% from the field, dropped 22 points. And this is a guy that was undrafted, has been to the finals before with Miami, but has really found a home here, not here, but at the Mavericks. And he's shown value not only as a defender in this series, but as on an offensive player, which, I mean, I didn't see it coming, but I sort of did. I didn't see him specifically scoring this amount of points and being this productive, but someone, and it was him. So full credit to him. I think what let OKC down big time in this series was rebounding, because obviously they do have Chet, but they don't have really any depth at the power forward or center position. In terms of rebounding, in terms of specialized rebounding, whilst the Mavs do have those big men, they've got Dan Gafford, they've got PJ, who was actually really good on the boards, Derek Lively. So Dwight Powell had some minutes as well where he was quite valuable rebounding. But I think it all came down to, that size and the shot-making ability, even though this wasn't an amazing Luka Doncic series because he's got like 4 injuries at the moment. Yeah. I think the whole roster was just able to hold their own. And I'm not sure if they'll be able to do that in the next round because it is a harder matchup.
It's going to be tough, especially coming up against that defense.
Yeah. So I think you either need Kyrie or Luka to go off on any given night. And if they
both.
Yeah. Really. Exactly. And if they don't get that, then I think they really, I wouldn't give them much of a chance, really. But we'll get more into that next. We've got the Wolves and the Nuggets.
And yeah, again, I'm fine with my prediction I made. I said Nuggets in 7. You had T-Wolves in 6. I had the game. You had the
series.
Yeah, but again, it was looking my way for most of Game 7 up until, the third quarter. It was looking, nearly the end of the third quarter, it was looking to be in my favour. Not that I wanted that to happen because I think the team was a bit more exciting for me to watch and, it's more fun. To see the reigning champs get upset for the 6th year in a row, the reigning champs have not made it past the second round. How crazy is that? It just shows that dynasties in basketball nowadays is more and more difficult. Players are moving,
pretty much over, and you've got teams exactly like the Wolves who build to beat
a certain team, and they did.
Yeah, they did.
And even with Ant only having 16 points and 6 for 24 shooting from the field. We saw Cat step up, get the momentum rolling when the team was down. We saw Rudy Gobert, that fadeaway.
That's when it was over.
Didn't know he had that in his bag.
Well, I don't think he does. I don't think
he does. He does. Shout out Rudy Gobert.
I've never seen Rudy Gobert do that.
And even Nas Reed, great defensive minutes on Jokic late. A few blocks, you said they were hounding him. Not letting him get to his shots. He shot inefficiently from the three. He did get a couple late. But, Jamal was on fire early and then died off. And the rest of the Nuggets starters were really a non-factor. And I credit that to the Timberwolves defense. Also Jay McDaniels, shout out, because I think he had 23. And the Timberwolves defense, they just came to play it. They didn't bow out of the game even when they were down big at halftime. The biggest comeback in Game 7 history.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
It's got to take some heart and some effort and some skill and some coaching to come back from that. And, it was a well-deserved win. So, my prediction, it's wrong, but it wasn't that bad.
Mm. I don't think it was that bad.
I also said don't count out the reigning champs, even when they were down 2-0.
And Denver were my prediction to win the NBA championship at the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, so they're gone.
They are gone. But I did predict the Wolves this round, so I went against what I said. Because obviously we saw Game 1 and then we made the predictions, but I just think that the fact that they're built to beat the Denver Nuggets, obviously the Nuggets had a chance, and we did see that. You spoke about it 2 weeks ago, how you thought the Nuggets would make their adjustments, especially offensively in the Game 3 and Game 4, because pretty much the Nuggets couldn't bring the ball up the court when they had Jamal Murray dribbling, but they found a way to negate that and get Jamal Murray really good shots. They had Aaron Gordon dribbling the ball up the court and then having Jamal Murray come off a pin down pretty much to receive the ball, where Jaden McDaniels wouldn't be completely hounding him. So I think the adjustments that the Nuggets made when the Wolves were at home and when they won those 2 games were extremely good. But I think it is like a chess match where the Wolves then found a way to sort of negate that as well. So it was really a back and forth the entire series. We didn't see any close games until this final game. We saw 10-point wins across
we saw the 45
point in Game 4...
6.
Yeah. The game before the elimination. Yeah, exactly. And the Denver Nuggets only scored 37 points in the second half of the entire game, and that was a huge
absolute clamps.
Apologies if the audio just went all weird. We had the same mic problems as we did last week.
Yeah, we're trying to fix it actively, but it's being a pain.
It's kicking our asses. But back to it. The Nuggets, just a pretty terrible second half performance. Jamal Murray, even though, as you said, he went off in the first half, he was not much of a factor in the second half. We had Jokic was 0 from 10 from 3 until he hit those 2 in the final quarter. Michael Porter Jr. was nowhere near the player he usually is. First of all, he wasn't able to get those shots because of Jaden McDaniels. I think it was more actually... was it Cat who was defending? It was the bigs that were defending him at times, except they had switchable defenders to be able to switch onto him and limit those 3-pointers. But he did hit one late, which was a rhythm shot, and there was no way he was going to miss that. But he only scored 7 points. Christian Brown, I think he had a really good game in terms of...
He did, I think, 5 points off the bench and impactful.
Tried to keep them in it as much as possible with especially energy. Energy and hustle is what you need from a player off the bench, especially in the playoffs when you're only playing 10 people. But Reggie Jackson's minutes, a little bit disappointing. We had that Game 2 where he came into the game and really shifted the energy for the Nuggets, and I think they tried to replicate that in Game 7, but he didn't get one of his shots to fall, and then he got 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls, and that was really all due to the Minnesota Timberwolves hounding defense, not allowing the Denver Nuggets at times to even cross the half-court line, especially Jaden
just making them work
McDaniels.
for everything.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the series for for them. Just across the board for the Minnesota Timberwolves, it was just impact from every single player. You can't say that a player who played yesterday wasn't impactful. So I think we're going to see that going into the next round. They're probably the deepest team left in the playoffs. You could make an argument for Boston, but I'm just so excited for the next round, really. I think it's going to be an awesome matchup, especially, I think, in the West.
Oh, yeah. And I think whoever wins the West is who I want to win, personally.
Because you think obviously, you think Boston are going to go to the finals.
I didn't say that. Yeah. Well, I do. Because they're my favourite. They're my championship favourites.
Yeah.
Well, they were and they still are. I think. Yes. Still are.
It's a tough one, though. It's tougher than most people thought than going into the playoffs. So
this is what a championship would mean for every team that still has a chance.
The Mavericks' last championship was in 2011, where Jason Kidd was the player and now he's the coach. So the only players that have ever done that, it's the third time it's ever happened, and the only people that have done it. Bill Russell was one of those players, and he's the only player that has done that where the player wasn't playing in that 11 championship Bill Russell team. So that's very historic. First time it's happened since the 60s. They were 18th in regular season defensive rating, which is the worst since the 2001 Lakers when they were ranked 21st. By the way, this is all my own research. I didn't get it, so it took a lot of time.
Shout out research.
Shout out research. I think they're going to feel fine about trading away. Obviously, we spoke about this at the trade period, where they barely have any. I think they've got 2 first-round picks remaining until 2032. Well, they have two, and one of them's next year, one of them's in 2028.
Yeah, well, when you have Luka and you want to capitalize on his prime, it's not really, an option that you're not going to take.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different to, other teams where they've got like a star, but not a superstar. Luka's a bona fide superstar. You got to try and help him as much as you physically can, especially when he's entering his prime.
But do you remember this was a very risky move at the time, especially with PJ Washington?
Yes, I do remember.
You knew what you were going to get from Gafford. You were going to get blocks and rebounds. But Daniel Gafford's, PJ Washington's defense was questioned heavily because obviously we've seen him on teams like only the Charlotte Hornets. And that's a team that wasn't competing whatsoever, so you don't get to see his full defensive potential. And they took a gamble and it paid off big time. If they win the championship. Even if they don't, I think it did pay off.
Yes, it did. They've made it further than expected.
Yeah. They're the worst team in terms of win percentage pre-All-Star break to go on to win the chip. They were 58% on wins on the season before the All-Star break, so that's another big thing for the Mavs. Making history there. I'm going to go from the bottom of the roster to the top. Do you want to first talk about Batman Grant Williams, who will be getting his first NBA championship?
Well, that's just league changing, isn't it?
Yeah. Grant Williams will get a chip if they win. Honorable mention, Maxi Kleber was injured last round due to an injured shoulder.
Yeah.
But Maxi trusted the process. He was on a part of the 24-win Mavericks team in 2018. He's a second-born, German-born player to win a championship and was a key contributor to one of the games that got the Mavericks over the line against the Clippers, where he went 5 from 7 from 3. So that is huge for Maxi Kleber. Dante Exum. Do you want to talk about Dante Exum?
Shout out Dante Exum, a player who's, bounced around the league a couple of times and even been out of the league. Has found his way back in and managed to be more than a solid contributor off the bench. And he's even started some games, I think. Yeah, he has. I remember him hitting that clutch bucket to send into OT. I can't remember who it was against exactly. But, he's definitely played his role, is shooting well from the 3 and is, representing for all the Australian hoopers. And Josh Green.
Mm-hmm. It'd
be big for Josh Green. Big for their confidence heading into the Olympics.
Definitely.
For
big
sure.
expectations there. He was riddled with injuries early in his career, Dante Exum, which really he couldn't find a spot on a contending team. He played in Serbia, he played in Spain, and then that was literally 2 years ago where he was overseas, and now he's shooting, 49% from three this season? 49%.
Crazy.
And one of the biggest hustlers in the entire NBA, hounding the ball at all times. And he brings that championship mentality to the Mavericks, which they were lacking before. So his role on the team is really crucial. Tim Hardaway Jr., a 12-year vet. He's one of three of the oldest guys on the team. And even this championship would mean that even if he starts becoming less productive during his career, he can have a role as an experienced championship-winning player. And I think I think he's got leadership, because a guy that shoots 40%, this isn't a shot, a guy that shoots 40% from the field during his entire career obviously has leadership qualities, because that's why you would keep a guy like that around.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a spot for the rest of his career if he wants that, I think. Josh Green, you spoke about it. Crazy ball pressure, great spot-up guy. He's the second guy in the 2020 draft class to win a championship. First was Zeke Naji, but he didn't have a huge role in the team. I don't think he played.
Yeah, I was going to say you should make me guess, but I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, Zeke Naji. And he's another Aussie champion that you can add to the list.
There's a few.
Yeah.
There are a few.
It's crazy how many we have. Like, we have a great conversion rate in terms of players drafted.
Except Ben Simmons.
Yes, except for Ben Simmons. But now we've got a few champions, which is awesome. So, again, the Aussie team looking strong this year, and we'll go into that as well in the off season. So
we will.
Dan Gafford, do you have what's to say?
Not really.
No. Yeah, he was traded from the worst team in the league, so that's huge for him. I mean, you go from the worst team to the best team in the league, so that's pretty awesome. He's the second player out of Arkansas to win a championship. Last one was in 2004 when Paulus Williamson won it off the bench. So shout out to him. Coming off a career year, he was a league best 72% from the field, so the best field goal percentage in the entire league. And he had the most, I think most people forget this, but he had the most consecutive shots made since Wilt Chamberlain.
Yes,
this year.
I do remember that. That was a crazy stretch.
And it was very disappointing.
Nearly got there.
He missed a field goal, yes. And yeah, he's finally able to have an impact on a team with his defensive prowess. So I think that's super good for him. Derek Lively.
Massive. The rookie champ. And he's been so impactful. It's not just a rookie champion that, didn't contribute as much on a big team. Like Mamadi Diakite on the 2021 Bucks.
Yes. Every year there seems to be a rookie that is on the team.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Contribution.
But he's been contributing very heavily. And even, I was going to say, in that last game, I'm pretty sure, against the Thunder, he played very well. Very efficient
15
minutes.
rebounds.
Yeah, efficient.
Full offensive.
And yeah, that could be huge. You kickstart his career pretty much. And, you're building momentum from there. You want to get back. You get that hunger. You get that fight. And I think that'd be great for Derek Lively.
Yeah, he's if they win it, he's the most accomplished so far of that rookie class, which is this year, of course. And I think he's going to be praised as the missing piece of the Dallas Mavericks, because Luka Doncic desperately needed a good pick and roll partner, and they finally got that. He praised Daniel Gafford as the reason why they won the series after the Game 6 win. And he's actually, you said that he doesn't contribute, like that rookies don't usually contribute as much as him, but look at the stat here as well. He's the first rookie starter since guess who? To contribute to a championship team.
A championship team?
This is
well,
like...
it's not Zeke Naji.
Think of a rookie who has damn near led their team to a championship.
Rookie. Okay, I'm going back in time.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Kobe wasn't a rookie, was he?
No. He had a bad rookie year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What time? Can you give me like an era?
80s.
80s. Is it going to be...
Think of a top 10 player of all time.
Tim Duncan.
That is not the 80s.
This guy's not no ball. Hakeem.
No. Think earlier. Who were the best two players in the 80s?
Well, Magic.
1980,
Magic or Larry Bird?
1980, yeah. Magic Johnson led his team to the finals as a rookie and won the championship.
I didn't know that.
When Kareem was out. And he's the first rookie starter since Magic to win a championship, which is insane. And he didn't start regularly during the playoffs. Daniel Gafford started, but during the regular season, he started more than Daniel Gafford. So I put him there. Derek Jones Jr., I spoke about him a little bit. He's an undrafted. He was undrafted, and now he's a key contributor to a championship team. He lost in 2020 when he was playing for the Miami Heat, but I think he's now going to be seen as more than just a dunk contest champion.
Yeah, I was going to say
the guy that
dunk
robbed,
contest champion,
the guy that robbed,
to real champion.
Yeah, guy that robbed Aaron Gordon. So, I think his impact was incredible.
Yeah,
during
I'm sure he's a favorite role player to a lot of fans.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Damn, he's my favorite role player. But PJ Washington.
Yeah, well, again, proving people like me wrong. Proving people that said he couldn't step up wrong. He's provided so much impact. And again, like you said, the ramifications of that trade are showing why they made that trade. And if they win the championship, you know, he could go down as a top trade ever. That's huge.
I had a huge...
And PJ is a big part of that.
Yeah. He's the second player since from the 2019 draft class to win a championship. Who was the other? 2019. This guy was the third option.
No, I'm not in the mindset today.
Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
Jordan Poole. If they win the championship, PJ Washington would be the lowest third option in terms of regular season points since Draymond Green. And he's going to be paid $30 million in the next 2 years, which would be worth it for the Mavs. They've taken on that contract, and it'll definitely pay off. They're going to keep him around and be competitive.
Well, Tobias Harris is on 40, so
not anymore.
He was on 40.
Kyrie Irving,
huge, just for the legacy. You know, he's got a championship. He doesn't, you know, he isn't missing that off of his cabinet. And he's contributed very heavily and hit the game-winning shot in the finals. He contributed very heavily on a championship team. But imagine if he gets Finals MVP.
That's huge
for the legacy. Yes. Is he now better than James Harden
all time?
Yeah,
that's a discussion. Definitely.
It definitely is.
2 championships.
It definitely is. So I think it brings up huge ramifications for Kyrie's place and Kyrie's legacy. And also how he's bounced back from, you know, unsuccessful eras in Boston, in Brooklyn. You know, it'd be huge.
Be huge for him.
And a lot of people love Curry, including me.
Yeah.
So
he's a fan favorite, and it'd just be good for the fans and everyone supporting him to finally see him get a championship away from LeBron. I've got my fun little stat. It's the second NBA championship. It's the second NBA championship. That wasn't my fun little stat.
Shout out.
Fourth player to win a chip for 2 different teams, being a top 2 scoring options both a top 2 scoring option both times. The others were Kareem, LeBron, and Shaq. So
that's elite company.
Exactly. The disrespect will end, as you said, and he will be. What do you think about this? He will be considered one of the greatest NBA Robins of all time.
Yeah.
He won't be the first option.
No.
Because you got your Pippins.
I see that. I have to think. I'd have to write a list down. But obviously, yeah, Pippen. Who else?
Klay Thompson.
Yep.
Dwayne Wade. Even though Dwayne Wade was Batman in 2006.
It's true. Shaq. Or are you saying Kobe's wrong? That's a conversation in itself.
For some of them, but maybe. But yeah, I would have him up there. Again, I would also have to write a list, but I think he'd be up there. And Luka Doncic, what do you think it would mean for Luka?
Huge. We're talking about Luka and his potential to be one of the greatest players of all time. And obviously he still has that potential. He's put up massive stat lines for the better part of his career. And adding a championship, I can't remember how old he is exactly.
24.
So adding a championship at 24 puts him on that trajectory to be one of the best players of all time. And, you know, if he wins that championship, is he top 50? I know there's a longevity argument that I put into my list as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have to think about it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you got James Harden in
Finals
there,
MVP, if he contributes on an insane level, which he can do, yeah.
He's the youngest player to lead his team to the promised land since. Do you know who it is?
I'm trying to count backwards. Well, lead. Is that like the Finals MVP or the top scorer?
Be the first option throughout the entire season. Globally known as the first option. I mentioned him when I was talking about Kyrie. Shaq and him.
Oh, Kareem.
Shaq.
What? Kobe. Oh, D-Wade.
D-Wade. The youngest player to lead his team to the promised land since Dwayne Wade in 2006. And I think the main thing...
So long ago.
Yeah. It's like, it's rare company that he's this good, this early, this impactful. And he'll be taken more... I think the biggest thing will be he'll be taken more seriously in MVP conversations.
Yeah, and we remember last year when the Mavericks missed the playoffs. That puts that all to bed. That people are going to forget about that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think he'll be in playoff in MVP conversations, even if he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's in playoff.
It just
MVP.
gives them, like Jayson Tatum, the reason that he's almost completely ignored every single year is because he just can't get past that final hurdle.
Yeah.
We saw Jokic this year. I'm just going to list examples. Obviously, Jokic was the best player this year, but he won it after winning a championship. MJ won it after winning a championship. Bird won it after winning a championship. Kareem won it. That's all like intangible stuff because they were the best players in the league.
Or winning an MVP, this helps him build momentum. Even if he doesn't win the chip, MVP leads to a chip. Giannis.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one as well. That's a good thing to consider. There's just going to be so much more respect on his name going forward. So you don't disrespect any NBA champions. Can you think of one NBA championship that you disrespect?
Ooh, apart from people that didn't play?
Like on the team.
Did they play?
Did they play in the finals?
No, like, can it be anyone on the team?
Yeah. Draymond Green, maybe. Some people would say they disrespect him, but you got to respect Draymond.
Yeah. Danny Green, 2020.
You don't like Danny Green?
No, I don't know. He just didn't play that well. That's serious.
Oh, okay. But you've got respect for Danny for winning a championship.
Sure.
Okay. So maybe there's mixed feelings there, but that covers it for the Dallas Mavericks. I went in depth there, but I don't have as many notes for the others. We'll just sort of go through them as normal. The Wolves, what can you say about the Wolves?
Be huge. It wouldn't exactly... Well, I'm just going to go from top players because that's what I'm thinking about. And as a face of the league, we had this conversation 3 months ago and we're talking about him as the American player and his marketability is shot through the roof. Now that since he's won a few playoff series, you know, seeing the MJ strike, he's trash talking, he's waving goodbye to the fans. People love that. People buy into that. And when you can back that up with your playing ability, people love it even more.
Yeah.
And again, he's more relatable to an American audience. So I think that he will be definitely one of the faces of the league going into next year. It might be the start of a new era for those type of players. Him, Wemby, etc. So yeah, for Ant, it's really huge. And I know I should know how old he is. How old is Ant?
I think he's 21. No.
22?
He's 22, turning 23, yeah.
That is so young to be the leading star on a championship team. He's on a path to greatness. We're talking about Luka winning one at 24, him winning one at 22. It's insane. I don't know if you got the stats. When was the last time that was done?
A 22-year-old?
Yeah.
Last time...
I don't have it written down.
I think Dwayne Wade might have been 22 in 2006. But
again, elite company.
I know Tony Parker was also really young, but that's the first one I can think of. But yeah, Anthony Edwards, for some reason at the moment, like while I watch these games, like it already feels like he's the face of the league.
At the moment, it definitely does.
Because there's so much aura around him. Like there actually is. That's not even me joking. There's so much like...
He's must-see TV.
This guy is unbelievable on all levels. Like marketability, skill level impact, even though he hasn't had good games. When he scored 16 points in Game 7, I still think
Didn't matter.
was
Hit
so
clutch shot at the end of the third quarter. Step back.
He hit all the shots that mattered. He blocked shots. He stole the ball. He was as important as Jaden McDaniels defensively. Probably not as important, but also extremely important. I already see him as like a top 3 at least facing the league. And I think he's going to be in that transitioning period. At least when LeBron gets too old, people are going to sort of look at him. We predicted Wemby. There's still time. He's a rookie, but I feel like there's going to be a transition period there. He beat draft day expectations because people were thinking that he didn't have the love for the game.
Yes,
because he liked baseball more or something. His focuses were on baseball.
And people were also saying that possibly LaMelo Ball should have been the #1 pick over him. Not even that long ago, I remember that conversation was still around. And obviously it's been put to bed now.
There was no hype around him.
Not really.
When you think about, like, obviously it's hard because you got to compare
Shout out James Wiseman.
Shout out to James, Detroit Pistons legend. Yeah, but next is Rudy Gobert. At least next I've got written down. He's going to shut everyone up about the trade because at the time people were like, that is a bad trade. I know we both thought that.
4-time DPOY champion. That's putting you in the conversations of Ben Wallace.
It actually is.
That's exactly the same thing.
That is Ben Wallace's resume.
But people don't give him the amount of respect they give Ben Wallace.
No.
It's just the truth. And a lot of people don't like Rudy Gobert. But it's about time they put some respect on his name.
Definitely. I think enough time has passed.
I just think we don't like him because it's... I don't want to get into the whole topic, but it's harder to relate because he's French. With the COVID thing, and he gets angry sometimes, gives away some bad fouls. It looks a bit unco doing it, but he makes it work. And if he was to win a championship, it'd be huge for the haters that have to zip it.
Yeah. And people also didn't take him seriously because he didn't really... Obviously, the Jazz were the #1 seed, I think, twice during the period that he was there, and Donovan was there as well. But people didn't put respect on his name because he couldn't get anything done in the playoffs as well. In fact, he was a playoff... What do you call it? Where they don't perform as well in the playoffs.
Underperformer?
Playoff underperformer in those Jazz years. So I think him proving himself in this situation will shut everyone up. And he'll be seen as a great 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. You can't,
a champion.
You can't tell me that he's not
that.
a great. Exactly. Jaden McDaniels, I didn't have a whole lot. I just think that he's going to be the best, seen as maybe the best top 4 defensive players in the entire league, if he's not that already.
And he's showing his offensive ability as well as a great 2-way player. So he could be a top 2-way player in the league as well. And, again, confidence, building momentum. Shout him for trying to do a bounce dunk.
That was crazy.
Game 7.
I understand
I wouldn't do that.
I understand why the other team was mad at that. A little bit disrespectful there, but who cares? He got an extension last year, but I think he's going to be paid even more going into the future as one of the best 3-and-D players in the entire league, one of the best defenders in the entire league. Maybe be taken more seriously in Defensive Player of the Year talks as well. I don't know if a championship correlates to that, but maybe it does. Mike Conley.
A veteran of the league. Nearly the best player of all time not to have an All-Star appearance, but he did have one, if I remember, 2021. Pretty sure.
He was earlier than that.
He was a reserve for 2021.
Was he?
Yep. I'm very sure because that was the year in Atlanta where Giannis won the All-Star MVP.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and he was a reserve, injury reserve, and he got called in. And that was like, everyone's like, he should have got another year. But, he'll take it, I'm sure. But Mike Conley has been toiling away in the league for years. I still don't think he's ever gotten a technical. I'm pretty sure that's correct. And he's got
sportsman in the league.
Yeah, that many sportsmanship and teammate awards. A great guy. I'm pretty sure he's well liked by nearly everyone around the league and all fans pretty much. It's good to see a veteran player come to a team and contribute on a good level. And if he win a championship, the cherry on top would be a great story.
I don't really have much to add on that. It's just impressive that he's been in the year in the league for so long, and he hasn't had this deep playoff success. I think he had a bit of playoff success with the Jazz, but definitely not with the Grizzlies. So I think it's just awesome for Mike because he was sort of a throw-in piece in that 3-team trade to make sense money-wise. I don't think he was taken too seriously as a piece, at least by the media. I think Tim Conley definitely thought that he could have been a contributing piece to a championship team, and he probably saw the vision. But as an aging player, he was really a money piece in that trade. So It's just awesome that he can convert that and be so important defensively and just an experienced player that can just facilitate that team, keep Anthony Edwards in check. I don't know if he needs to be kept in check, but at least for pressure moments where you need experience, it's just awesome to have that there. Karl Anthony Towns, it's just awesome for him because I actually rewatched one of the episodes we were talking about after the Embiid Karl Anthony Towns 60-point performance, 70-point performance, and I was talking about Karl Anthony Towns' immaturity. And I think I was completely wrong. I'm going to hang my hat high there and just say that I was completely wrong. I think that he's shown...
He stepped up.
Experience, even when that experience wasn't there. That was their biggest flaw for me, the experience. But this team has really proved that they do have experience because Cat's been in the league for 9 years. You forget that he's not a 20.
And he was such a major part in building the momentum in Game 7. Even though he did have a lot of fouls and some which were a bit silly, he helped build the momentum when the T-Wolves, I thought the T-Wolves were done. He helped lead them back, which is crucial in a second star when your number one player is not playing as well as they should. To have a Robin, I've met Robins before, to be able to light the spark and really get the team going, get the energy up, and that's what he did. And he's improved defensively so much since, a couple of years ago even. You remember that picture of him against Boogie?
Boogie Cousins, yeah. Where he was like backing him down and Boogie was doing nothing.
Exactly. But he's improved so much. He guarded Jokic as well as you can guard playoff Jokic.
Definitely.
And
completely agreed.
Yeah. He did a great opportunity. He took that opportunity and shout out Cat.
I think they have such a defensive culture there. And that was brought in by Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, obviously. But they've just everyone on that team has brought into that defensive culture. And it's just the buy-in. I think this team, I watched an interview with Naz Reid a couple of days ago, and he was talking about the fact that the entire team loves defending, and that wasn't the case when he was first drafted there. There wasn't that culture, and the way that that's flipped around and they love defending.
Yeah, you can see that with the Mike Conley and Ant steals on Jamal Murray late. Just doing anything to poke at the ball when most players would just let them, dribble past. And also, I thought it was really interesting that if Cat wins the championship, him and Wiggins will have a championship before Jimmy Butler.
Damn. I forget about that era, the Jimmy Butler era, where he didn't want to be on the team because he didn't think they've got what it takes. And if he wins,
then arguably they both have what it takes.
Yeah. Lack of judgment from Jimmy Butler.
Maybe it'll be an interesting conversation to have.
Wow, that sparks memories. But yeah, I think Cat, again, one of those players that will just be taken seriously as well, because obviously there are those memes about him. He gets clowned a lot, but I think people will just take him seriously. Obviously, I think memes will still be around with him, but I think he'll be seen less. I'm not calling him a clown, but it's less clown-like and more like, oh, this dude's funny. That sort of thing.
Funny.
He's funny. Whether intentionally he is or not. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think this is a cool one.
Yeah. I think, how many teams has he been on? Was he only on the Pelicans?
Yes. I think he was drafted elsewhere, but maybe traded on trade night. But I'm
saying a young player and a player who has contributed. I don't think he did much Game 7, but he's shooting pretty well from three. And he's contributing solidly off that bench. And he'll be renowned as the better Alexander over Shea. No, shout out Nickeil. I've always liked Nickeil. I don't know why. He's one of those players that, gets the job done. puts in 100% effort, and you can always respect that.
So Nikhil was drafted to Brooklyn, but got traded on draft night to the Pelicans. But everyone forgets that he was on Utah. He came with...
Yes, he was.
He came with
as far as
Mike Conley. So, yeah, I agree with exactly what you said about Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think the way that he's been able to turn into a defensive player, obviously he wasn't seen as that sort of player in New Orleans, but I think the pressure of having a cousin that is that good in the league.
Yeah, you want to step up.
I genuinely think that that's a factor that goes into someone like that, where they work harder to control, to be able to become better at something that they can control, and that's hustle, that's heart, that's defensive prowess. Because you're a long guard, you've got the potential to be a good defender, and I think he really put his head down and made that his identity. So I think that's awesome for him. Naz Reid, the greatest six man of all time.
Yeah, I mean, the fans are gonna love it.
Yeah,
imagine.
You see those Naz Reid tattoos?
No, but like, I'm not surprised.
There's a backstock, or what do you call it? A backstock? Is that a word?
I don't know what, like, they're backed up.
Yeah, Naz Reid tattoos
Wow.
in Minnesota.
Really?
Parlors can't get enough because everyone's getting a Naz Reid tattoo.
Crazy. The influence. I don't even know where it started, to be honest, but you see it everywhere.
It's just Naz Reid.
It just is Naz Reid, and
Just lovable dude. Big
yeah,
jelly.
he's been so important off the bench for them, as a six man. Give him great defensive and offensive minutes. We saw late in the game 7.
Carl Anthony Towns went out.
Yeah, and he came in and he clamped Jokic a couple times, a few blocks and a few putback dunks.
Putback dunks, a 3.
Crazy.
He had a great
major
fourth quarter.
impact when they needed it the most.
He might have been the reason that they won it, because there was momentum there, but he completely swung it completely in that direction. It took attention off Anthony Edwards, and he was able to get buckets in the final minutes. So I think that's there as well. So Naz Reid, that's just awesome for his resume. Sixth man champion.
It is.
Can't deny that. Carl Anderson, just good on you, Carl, because you've been on these teams
Shows
that
you can
can't
be
quite
slow
get there
and still be a champ.
to win a championship. Yeah. All the disrespect that we give him in NBA sabotage.
Yeah, whenever we choose him for athleticism.
But yeah, just awesome for Carl. I think he's, again, one of those players like Mike Conley that brings broad experience to the team.
And
invaluable.
we remember when him and Rudy Gobert got into it last year.
Yes, in the final. That was against the Nuggets as well. Yeah.
Yeah. When they were arguing, and obviously that's been put aside, and it will show great growth and resilience by the both of them. To put the differences aside and win a chip together.
Shout out Slow-Mo. Just
shout out Slow-Mo.
Awesome player. That does it for them. Actually, sorry, we didn't mention what it means for the Wolves. I've written down stuff, so I'll just. It's the first championship in the team's history since they were introduced in the league in 1990. Tim Conley, the president of basketball, I already spoke about him a bit. He built the last 2 champions. So he drafted Nikola Jokic 41st to the Nuggets. Hired Mike Malone, drafted Jamal Murray, drafted MPJ, traded for Aaron Gordon. And for the Wolves, he signed Rudy Gobert, made trades for Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Mike Conley, and then he re-signed Naz Reid and McDaniels. So he literally built from the ground the last 2 champions.
Pretty good at his job.
Yes. If they win the championship, then he's the greatest president in this generation. Generation? That's the wrong thing to say. This decade is going to be the GOAT. But that's just what it means. And for this team to be as young as they are, obviously they have experience, but to be led by such a young star is the best position you can be as a franchise to win a championship, being this young and having such a young star.
And you saw it was 20 years, I think, to the day since they last made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yes.
Which is an insane amount of time, back when KG was first there.
So just, awesome. Great storyline for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now the Celtics. I'll quickly cover what it means for the team because I've researched stuff. All the basic stuff. They beat out the Lakers for the most championships in NBA history. Obviously, they're tied at the moment, but they get that edge. I think that's what the Celtics fans are most excited for. The It's their first chip since 2008 with KG, Paul Pierce, Rondo. Finally get over the hump after one finals appearance and countless conference finals appearances in the Jayson Tatum era. So I think that puts it into perspective of the situation that they're sort of in and how desperate they are for this. First, we're going to Jayson Tatum because it probably means the most for him out of anyone.
It will put aside the narrative that he's not clutch, that he can't get over the hump, that he can't get it done and play well when it matters the most. And, you know, he's 19, but no, obviously he's 26.
Yeah.
Time
flies, man.
Yeah.
He was 19 last year.
I know. And he was, we're talking about this, the Celtics were still making deep playoff runs then, but they still haven't been able to capitalize. So it's about time they went through and got it done. Before, you know, I don't think it will, because I don't know what deals do they have Drew and Porzingis on.
What was that?
What deals do they have Drew and Porzingis on? Are they on long-term deals there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well then they've got time to run it back, but you know, this is the time to strike. This is the time where, you know, they're my favorites to get it done. And Jayson Tatum, it's huge for him, it's huge for the legacy. It will cement him as one of the best players in the league. I think it's a little bit disrespected at times when people talk about, you know, the best of the best in the league. And people go like, oh, just because he's the top scorer on the top team. But if he wins a championship, he'll prove it's so much more than that, his impact.
As long as he's the main scorer and the main contributor. Wow. At this rate, it might be Derek White.
Shout out Derek White. He's on my fantasy team.
But seriously, I think Jayson Tatum will turn it up in the finals, and we're sort of just assuming that because he's their star player. I completely agree with you. Everything that you said, I would. That's pretty much all I'd say. So, it'd be so important for his legacy. And again, one of those players that will get taken seriously. We've spoken about it in MVP conversations. And hopefully they can just build that championship pedigree where they can compete for years to come because they've got obviously those players on contracts. Jaylen Brown's still on a long contract. Jayson Tatum on a long contract. So those are guys that aren't going to be moving anywhere anytime soon unless they fail tragically, but I don't really see that happening. Next we got Drew Holiday. Your man, so I'll let you
Shout out Drew, and he'll be a 2-time champion.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Well deserved. One of the best defenders in the league. The best by the players in the past. And he would have gone from someone who's been underrated, overlooked. You remember when he was on the Pelicans? And I don't know. I hope I'm not just talking about me here. You know, you kind of forget. Like I was like, you know, you're not really paying attention to Drew Holiday that closely. When he got traded to the Bucks, I think that's when he really took a step in playing meaningful basketball, meaningful minutes.
He wasn't All-Star though.
He was.
For the Sixers.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust the process.
Yeah.
They're still trusting it to this day.
Questionable.
Yeah, but what was I saying?
Drew Holiday.
Oh, Drew Holiday. Yeah, Drew Holiday is one of my favourite players. And I hate that because, you know, Bucks and Celtics are rivals. But I'll be happy if we didn't keep him. We probably should have. Who knows? You know, we had to try and do something.
I think you made the right move
to get over the hump.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think we did him a little bit dirty. So shout out Drew, and he'll show how impactful his defensive prowess is on leading championship teams or being a major factor in championship teams. So yeah.
Yeah, just one of the better defensive guards in terms of impact ever, because you've got 2 championships at this rate and you're the starting point guard for the team. So next is Jaylen Brown. First of all, I think the narratives will be thrown out of the window just a little bit.
I think they've gone down recently as well.
They have.
Anyway.
There was that Miami Heat game where he dribbled it off his leg with his left hand 3 times. I do remember that. I think that narrative, obviously, he is respected in the league. At least he was, because I'm going to say that has dwindled a little bit since they've continued to compete and not win a championship. I think everyone on those teams has been discredited just a little bit. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, maybe not so much because he's not as big of a factor on the teams. But I think Jaylen Brown's narrative will just be, after this season, that he's a team that can impact winning a championship. He's going to have that championship pedigree. And I think it's all about gaining respect for him, sort of. He will just be a well-respected dude in the league.
He will be. Derek White. What a turnaround of, not saying that he was bad in the Spurs, obviously, but I don't think anyone could have predicted this level of impact, his heightened defense, and his shot-making ability that he's displayed as a part of the Celtics. And just goes to show how well the Celtics have done in constructing this roster. All the pieces complement each other so well. The glazing is insane, but they are my championship pick, so I have to say that for the record. But yeah, it'll be massive for him. I don't know how old he is. I know he's not that old.
Well, he's bald, so
that doesn't say anything.
No, he's like 30.
Yeah, but
shout out to the shaved head though, because he's since he shaved his head, he's become one of the best.
Yeah, all the greats do it.
Put him in the same conversation as Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
of course,
Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant,
all of them.
Derek White,
eventually LeBron.
No, I don't think LeBron will. Too many hair transplants there, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm being boring here, but I agree with you. I think this Celtics team, I mean, you've got players that will mean a lot for them, especially at the top end. But I think as it goes down the list, maybe it's a little bit less.
Yeah, they're kind of all players that have been, like, apart from the ones who have stuck around a long time, such as Payton Pritchard. I feel like, Porzingis, Drew, Derek White, they've only come in recently and they provide some great impact, and it'll be obviously great for their careers. They haven't really felt the impact of the Celtics going, losing the finals
so many times
and losing in the Eastern Conference Finals again and again. But yeah, I think it's a similar impact.
I think Kristaps Porzingis though, it's good for his legacy, because obviously booed. I wanted them to play the Knicks. Because
Who is Tingus Pingus?
Who is Tingus Pingus? Bing bong. But I think it's just awesome for him, because he was doubted so much early in his career. That long white guy that just, like, we've seen so many times be a failure before that.
That same stereotype, Dragon Bender.
Yeah. We won't include Luke Cornett in there because he's also on this team, but
we won't.
Yeah, I think it's, along with Jayson Tatum, I think this is going to be the most accomplished sort of player if they win it. Not accomplished, sorry, but sort of like you've proven everyone wrong. Because he has proved everyone wrong already, but I think just like adding that as a cherry on top would just be awesome for him. Yeah. Al Horford, just stick around long enough to win a championship. I think that's awesome. He obviously was on OKC, he was on Philly, which didn't work out. But he came back. He's stuck around. He's been with them through thick and thin. So I think that's just going to be awesome. It's going to feel so good for him.
I see OKC Al Horford in my nightmares.
That's
not real.
Bro, and the fact that they got him for so little as well, got him back for so little, and he's had such an impact. Like, people were counting him out at that point of his career because he wasn't impacting Philly the way that they thought he would.
He's older, but he feels at home in Boston.
Yeah.
Provides impact for them. So that's all that matters.
Especially defensively and as a 3-point threat. Payton Pritchard, I don't have much to say. Just be cool for him. No disrespect when I say there's nothing much to say. It's just, there isn't. I mean, it's awesome for you. You win your first championship and you'll be seen as a really key contributor off the bench for a championship team, which is, again, you gain a lot of respect for that sort of stuff. So that's really all I've got in terms of that roster.
Yeah, sweet. Pacers. This is an interesting one because, I don't know. It means a lot for the team as a whole because massive underdogs if they manage to pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know what the odds are right now, but they would not be in the Pacers' favour.
Not at all. That would be the least likely.
And for Tyrese, it just proves, especially if he wins Finals MVP, that you don't need to be the highest scorer. You don't need to be the most consistent. You can still get it done on the big stage, and he'll prove himself as someone who steps up in the big moments because he'll have to if they're going to win the championship. And, I think for most of the other players, it's kind of similar. Miles Turner has been tenured there a long time. He's been very consistent. You'd say borderline all-star some years. Make the argument. Great on the offense and defensive sides of the ball. And someone just puts in a lot of effort into the game. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Miles Turner. And he likes Lego.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
they would completely beat the odds. They're the worst ranked regular season team in terms of defensive rating to win a championship, 24th. Next was 2001 Lakers. Best offensive rating for a playoff run ever, 121. We mentioned that earlier. For a team that was such a high-paced regular season team to adjust to the playoffs is extremely impressive, especially if they go on to win the championship. A team that plays that fast rarely ever gets it even this far in the playoffs. So
that's what I was saying before. One of the series is that the pace of the playoffs, it slows down, but they managed to adjust
completely. And I think there are obviously a lot of these teams. We've got the Mavs who made big moves at halfway through the season. The Pacers have made a huge move halfway through the season. Pascal improved their defensive ability because obviously we spoke about this. He brought so much length to the team. I remember we paused. Yeah, we paused when we first mentioned that a few months ago as well.
And he'll be a two-time champion.
A two-time champ. Yeah, wow. Where will that put him? Because he was a top 2 option as well. The greatest Robins of all time. No,
they're with Shaq and him.
With Shaq and him. But no, I think we underrate how well they've been defending this playoffs as well. Whether it's enough to beat a Boston team, it's going to be tough. But I really like the way that they make teams scramble defensively to catch up with them. They start their offense so early. They try and get out on the break as much as possible. Pascal Siakam generates the most points this season in terms of on the break points, and then Tyrese Haliburton leads the league in break assists. So I think getting into their offense early, swinging the ball. Obviously now I'm going into that matchup where the Celtics Pacers matchup, but I think that gives them a chance offensively at least because they're just overpowering and obviously they've got a good rating, but their play backs it up completely as a team that gets open looks inside the paint as well because they lead the league in points in the paint, which is something that people don't actually think about much. But Tyrese Haliburton, young star in the league. If he wins a championship, then it's going to be
huge. If he wins a championship in the league of how many superstars we've got in the league right now, it's insane.
The Kings are going to regret that big time.
Of course.
That trade.
Yes.
Pascal Siakam, we spoke about him. Miles Turner, we spoke about him, but it'd be huge for him because he's the longest tenured player on this entire team. Andrew Nemhard, it'd be cool for him because he's a young player in the league and getting that sort of achievement this early, it's going to raise your trade value. It's going to raise how much you get paid.
Exactly.
So it's huge for players like him.
TJ McConnell.
TJ. It's so deserved, man. I love TJ McConnell so much.
Hustle player, grit and grind.
There through the start of the process. He is, when I started following the Sixers, he was damn near our best player. So it's just awesome to see him succeed. Especially as a 6-foot guard. A 6-foot guard who can't shoot the 3.
6-foot white guard.
A white guard who can't shoot a 3. He can shoot a 3, but he's not a consistent 3-point shooter. To have a role on a team that wins a championship would just be like, what is going on? Because he's also in his 30s as well. So just an awesome player to be in the league. Obi Toppin.
Yeah, again, just cool for him. He's a young player. Got traded. Has proved that he can have big impact off the bench. Especially against the Bucks. So, just big for him. Cool. Yeah. Good way to kickstart, into the prime of your career, you could say. I don't know how old he is exactly, but...
Would just be cool for him to do something other than an East Bay, though. Every time it's an East Bay.
Yeah, it's still cool.
Switch it up, brother. We've seen it like 20 times now. It's the most common fast break dunk. You do an East Bay. All right. I'll do an East Bay. But, like a behind the back would be cool or something, or a double through the legs or something. But Aaron Nesmith, if they beat the Celtics to go on to the NBA final, he used to play for the Celtics. So maybe that's something where he wasn't a key contributor for that team. Obviously, he did contribute to that team, but being a key contributor and really one of the reasons why they win every single game that they win, because he's always reliable. He's almost their Mr. Reliable for this team. So having that sort of role, beating the team that you used to play for and winning a championship would be huge for someone. Gee, my voice was shaky there, but this young, this early in his career, same thing for Ben Shepherd, being this young. And Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith, who I also
there's a lot of players in the similar boat.
Super
Very
young team.
Yeah. So now do we want to get into that series, Celtics versus Pacers, and our predictions?
I'm going to go straight into what I think the series will end up being. I think it's going to be a 4-2 Boston win.
Read my mind.
Really?
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
Tossing up 4-1, 4-2. I think 4-2. We've got to give the Pacers their respect in that regard. Even getting 2 games of this Celtics team is a very good effort. But I just don't think many people are giving them a chance, if any.
Mm.
And I do think that's backed with, the stats. And the Celtics team is just so stacked. It's just hard to see them losing to this team.
I don't want to be surprised though, because I think the Pacers, people are going to count them out. People already have counted them out, but they're one of those teams that I think could just upset everyone just because of how good they are offensively.
I think they've done it twice. I think they're running out of
against
luck.
2 injured teams, you must say. But I think that they have the ability to break down Boston's defense. It's just whether they can be defensively as good, better than they were in the previous 2 rounds against Boston, who were the best offense.
It's going to be pretty tough.
Very, very much so. The 2 leading teams in terms of offensive rating in the regular season.
Yeah, I think they get 2 home games.
2 home games?
Big crowd.
At least,
big atmosphere.
At least 1 home game is my certain prediction. They're going to take a home game.
Guaranteed.
Next, who's... Oh my God. I said who is the next matchup?
There's only one other.
Yeah, it's the Mavs and the Timberwolves in the West.
It's so interesting. But I'd have to go T-Wolves in 6. T-Wolves in 6. Two 6-game series for me. But I wouldn't be surprised if they pushed it further to a 7th game. But just from what we've seen the T-Wolves do against the reigning champs, who I think are better than the Dallas Mavericks, I just think they do it again. They can focus their defensive capabilities onto Luka, who is going through some minor injuries right now. He's playing through them, and onto Kyrie. And even if PJ Washington or someone else decides to step up, it's still going to be very difficult to beat with this T-Wolves team, who is showing offensive greatness as well as, a great defensive motor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think the difference between the Dallas Mavericks' previous matchups and this one is the fact that they have the Timberwolves have bigs that can defend bigs, and they have depth at the big position. Well, that's not something you say, but Naz Reid, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, all very, very, very capable defensive players, which teams haven't had to match up against the Mavs. I think Daniel Gafford will find it hard. PJ will find it much harder because you might have Jaden McDaniels matched up with him, and he's a tenacious defender. I don't think I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to try and make it a 1v1 game. I don't think they're going to blitz as much as they have in previous rounds, and I think they're going to make it really hard, even one-on-one with the Dallas Mavericks. That's my prediction. Obviously, they might throw 2 at Luka or Kyrie, depending on how good they are.
I think they might.
Yeah, but they do have the personnel to at least attempt it for periods of the game, especially when you don't have a way to beat a breakdown and rotate. But
so
I think
what's your prediction?
If Luka can get to his favorable matchup and go in the post, then I think it's so tough. I'm going 7 games. I'm going 7 games.
7.
And I've already told everyone what my prediction is because I said the Wolves in the finals. So it's Wolves in 7 for me.
So very similar. It's hard to pick the differences between these couple of teams.
Yeah.
But those are our conference final predictions. And,
Wolves versus Celtics. So
that's what we've got. And should we get into some games quickly before
Let's
I
do
have to go? What team was a bigger disappointment this playoffs? The Denver Nuggets or the OKC Thunder?
It's got to be the Denver Nuggets because they're the reigning defending champs. So I think them not making it back to the finals. Obviously, the OKC Thunder didn't have expectations going into the season. So they beat expectations. So it's the Denver Nuggets.
The Denver Nuggets or the Philadelphia 76ers?
Disappointment-wise, it's got to be Philly. Because I think, yeah, it's hard to talk about my own team in so much vein when they were injured, but I think them not getting it past New York is a big disappointment for them when you've got the MVP of the league. So even though he was injured, I think Philly are the bigger disappointment. Coming from a Philly fan.
Philly or the Pelicans?
Philly or the Pels? Again, Zion was injured. So I think the expectations weren't there, especially against the first seed. So I think, again, I'm going to go Philly.
Philly or the Knicks?
Damn, so many Phillies.
Well, I'm just doing what team you pick.
Philly. Oh, okay. Philly or the Knicks? Who's the biggest disappointment? Philly, because the Knicks beat Philly, and the Knicks were the 3rd seed.
That's true, but they did choke against. They did have injuries. But they should have won.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson broke his hand, and when you don't get a full force Jalen Brunson, then it's going to be tough.
And the final one I've got: the 76ers or the Bucks?
Or the Bucks. If we're talking about at the start of the season, I'm going to go with the Bucks because they were people's favourites going into the year. Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, their expectations were so high, so got to go with the Bucks.
Yeah,
the Bucks win the gauntlet. How do you feel?
Well, that's fair enough. I'm very disappointed also.
Yeah.
I'm still disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn.
Match the playoff averages with the player. So I'm going to read out the playoff average stat line, and you're going to tell me what player it is. Current. These are all this year.
This year, okay.
29.6 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.7 assists.
Anthony Edwards.
No.
Curry.
No. 29, 5 and 5.
Damian Lillard.
No. Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference. So, Donovan Mitchell.
It is Donovan Mitchell.
Dang.
Next one, 29.8 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 6.8 assists.
That's Ant, isn't it?
No, it's not. So 35 and 7.
35 and 7. Damn. Is that Dame?
No, it's not. But it is another Eastern Conference player.
29. I think Maxi averaged more, so I'm not going to say. Is it Maxi?
It is Tyrese
Damn,
Maxey.
I thought Maxi averaged more. Okay.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Next up, 27.3 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 9.1 assists.
Jokic.
No.
Luka Doncic.
Yes, it's either. I think you either go one of the two.
Between the two.
That was the easiest one on here. 27 points on the dot, 8.6 rebounds, 4 assists.
Cat.
No.
27 points. No, it's not.
27, 9 and 4.
I know it's not any Celtics. Which conference?
Eastern.
Okay. Giannis. No.
Whoa.
No.
Come on, bro. I'm still mad.
Pascal.
No.
Really? Okay.
Think of what team you haven't said yet.
I've got it.
Do you have it?
Paolo Banchero.
It is Paolo Banchero.
Had a bit of time to think.
Bit of time to think there. And the last one, 26.8 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.3 assists.
Cat?
No. They are Western Conference, though.
You said 6 rebounds?
Yeah, 6.5.
LeBron?
No.
AD?
No.
No. Not that. Low rebounds. This is...
Think of a disappointing team.
Brandon Ingram?
No.
Paul George?
No.
Kawhi? He had a terrible game in the middle there. James Harden?
No.
Russell? No.
No. They were the 6th seed.
6 seed. So it's... Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Kevin Durant.
It is Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Damn. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Pick and Roll podcast. Please leave a like. Please subscribe. If you're on Spotify, leave a 5-star rating. We'll see you. Do you want to do an episode between? Because
We probably will.
okay,
Yeah.
we'll do an episode next week. So we'll see you next week, and then the week after to do a complete review of the round and then talk about the finals. Obviously, we didn't get into the next round as much this week, but we're really ready to get into the finals and really break down into that. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.
Plenty of cool episodes coming. Stay tuned.
Ciao.
Peace.